Day two at Daytona. Have a quick recap for you. So, like Friday at Daytona, Saturday featured four races. Started with the Supwr Hooligans, then we had the Twins Cup, the Daytona 200, and then finally Mission King of the Baggers. And in the Supwr Hooligans race, it was super close. There was a 5-rider group together at the finish line. But it was Corey West edging out Jake Lewis and Cody Wyman. On to the Twins Cup, where it was sort of business as usual for Gus Rodeo. On Friday, he wins the race by 11 seconds. On Saturday, he had a little bit more competition at the beginning of the race, but he was basically just unfreaking touchable. And Corey Dreyer, who'd had a pretty good Friday, had a pretty miserable Saturday when he high-sided in turn one, and the race was basically over for him. So on to the Daytona 200. Now, if you don't know much about this race, it's because it's a little bit of an anomaly among the Moto America races. The race is 57 laps over 200 miles, and 62 riders enter the field. And the bikes here are middleweight super sport category, which means you have the Ducati V2, the Yamaha R6, the Daytona 675, stuff like that. And the predicted strategy for most of the teams was going to be a 2 pit stop strategy, meaning you needed to get around 19 or 20 laps out of each tank of fuel instead of tires. Now, we saw PJ Jacobsen and Kalo Yakov of the Rahal Ducati team actually opt for a 3 pit strategy and come in a third time for just a splash of gas, which ended up costing them a couple of places, finishing just outside the top 10. Brandon Posh was trying to stretch it before that first pit stop, runs out of gas halfway through his lap, and has to limp on into the pits for that first stop. Josh Herrin, who's leading the race, runs out of fuel on the entry to pit lane, but somehow gets that thing to the box. The real unfortunate one was Richie Escalante, who was fighting for first about 5 seconds behind Josh Herrin and looking pretty menacing. And with half a lap to go, the bike gave it up. It had no more gas in it. He was trying to limp it home, hold on to that spot on the podium, but ultimately gets past, ends up finishing 5th. Which means your winner of the Daytona 200 was Josh Herrin, wins by a huge margin because the only one really close to him was Richie Escalante. Now, in the baggers, we saw a battle at the front between some pretty familiar names. Troy Herfoss, Tyler O'Hara, Travis Wyman. The T names are killing it in the baggers right now. Sorry, James Rispoli. And it looked like it was Troy Herfoss's race to lose going into the final chicane. And unfortunately, he found a way to lose it. What it looked like to me was that Troy Herfoss didn't want to lead out of that final chicane and succumb to some slipstream from Travis Wyman behind him. But Travis was so far back, if he would have just taken that section cleanly, I don't think anyone would have outdrug him to the line. But he slows down, loses all his momentum. Travis Wyman goes by, takes the checkered flag, gets his win. Troy Herfoss has to settle for second. Well, that's basically everything you needed to know about Saturday in Daytona. If you want to check out my video on Friday, I linked it below. Please check them all out. And in the meantime, like, follow, share, mash all the buttons so you get all the motorcycle, MotoGP, and Moto America content you can handle.